This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020, episode 284. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name, as always, is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Lots of good stuff going on tonight. Before I introduce, of course, everybody who knows him, Brian with an I Aldridge. We got a new group on board tonight, Brian. When we're going to be talking about something a little bit later on, but we are co-streaming tonight's program on DLive. So a new group on board tonight. You can head on over to their website, which is dlive.tv/infection podcast. There's also a link on our website, infectionpodcast.com, in the upper right-hand corner, where the Twitch and the email icons are. There's a little guy that looks like a little ninja, and that's the DLive logo. So you check that out. New group on board. DLive for the live shows. So with that being said, the man who put the I in Mixer, Brian with an I Aldridge. Mr. Brian, how you doing this evening?
I am doing well. If you're interested in finding me online, you can go to @BoiseComputer on Twitter. If you want to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. And most importantly, if you go to our website, infectionpodcast.com, as you said there, we have new links, but also we have a link to our Discord. So if you're interested in joining us, perhaps you want to submit news throughout the week, you can do that in our Discord server. It's a totally free application to use. And there's places that if you want to do voice chat or even stream your gameplay to other people on the Discord, you can do that inside of the free application. We have our Steam group for live notifications right before the show starts. So if you want to happen to be at your computer about the time we start the show, you'll see a little pop-up and you can come join us live. Also, as Nick said, we have BitChute, we have Twitch, and DLive now. And also we have our podcast extras. If you're interested in the pre and post show, we get those posted. And thank you to Judd for doing that for us. If you're interested in the audio only form, in the lower right-hand side, we got all the links for whatever type of device you happen to use, or if you want to use a desktop app that's capable with all of those. And there's a lot of different options that you can use there. Also, we have show notes. Now, this will be the 284th episode of the show. So we have show notes for every single episode up into this point. So if you're listening to it after the fact, you can come and follow along with the show notes as we do the show, or you can go check them out afterwards. But we post those as soon as we post the recording of the show. And then if you want to help support the show, you can go through humble.infectionpodcast.com, amazon.infectionpodcast.com, or of course, the Twitch Prime subs you can do here in Twitch.
All right. So there you go. Thank you very much, Brian. We, as Brian said, we've got a new group on board. We got some people chatting over on the DLive chat. We appreciate that. Now, obviously, PAX isn't happening this year, at least in its in-person sense. So, obviously, we're just going to waste all of your money on something, stupid. Now, we're going to either look at doing 2 PAXs next year, possibly, or maybe East, or maybe an event like Gamescom. We're not really sure yet. And things are still kind of unknown as we sit here now. So that's where we stand.
Yeah, that might be interesting, though, doing, like, if we did Gamescom, which was going to cost us more money. Yeah, we'll now have the double, pretty much the amount that we usually go to PAX with, which might make that actually doable. So we'll have to decide that.
I do want to give a shout out to our friend PHVCK who dropped us a lemon, Brian, over on the DLive chat. We'll make sure we'll keep up to date with those donations. We'll get them worked into the program here through our Streamlabs. So thank you, PH, for the lemon. Oh, another lemon! Wow, he's just going to spam us with lemons the entire show. So thank you, PH. We appreciate it. So we'll and I don't know what any of these things are on DLive. There's a lemon brine, there's an ice cream, there's a diamond, there's a ninja Genie, which is a ninja driving a Lamborghini, and then there's a ninja jet with ninja in an airplane. Now PH is donating us an ice cream. I don't know what this means. It's in this weird lemon currency. I don't know what's going on, but a new group on board.
We'll have to see if they'll exchange a airline ticket for that. We'll
no, I believe
later.
so. From what I actually believe is that the DLive currency system, the way that you tip, is actually a cryptocurrency, which is kind of neat. I remember back when they first started, that was kind of their thing. So, I don't know. I don't know what we'll do with this.
We'll figure it out.
I don't know what the conversion rate is, but I can't imagine that it's.
Who knows? It may be so good that we'll be like, screw Twitch, we're moving on. DLive it is.
Yeah, we're moving over to DLive. So, we've got 9 lemon credits. Whatever
Very
that
nice.
means. So we'll jump back to DLive a little bit later on in the program. So thank you, PH and Judd, for following us on there, as well as a couple of the other guys, MCD, Unicorn Joe, and our friend Falcon. And I want to say this, Brian, as we start the program off this evening. We've got a lot of news to get into. I'm not sure we definitely are not going to get to all of it. But one thing that I would recommend you do, as we are living in this age of canceling, which you're seeing online, people's Twitter accounts getting suspended, YouTube channels getting pulled down, that you really do go to our website, infectionpodcast.com, and be subscribed on multiple platforms. And the reason we are streaming on services like DLive and YouTube and putting the post show on BitChute and YouTube is there's just so much uncertainty. Now, fortunately for Brian and myself, this isn't our full-time job, but Brian, I would say you and I have busted our ass and we've sacrificed big time over the past 5+ years, not being able to do certain things because of this podcast. And I'll be damned if I'm going to allow Twitch or YouTube or Microsoft or anybody else to completely clamp down on that. So the reason we've got these multiple platforms is so that in the case of something happening, we are available on multiple places. So something to think out. And of course, our podcast, which we completely control, we are not relying on anybody to host that. So get my little ramblings out of the way there before we get into the show this evening. And boy, do we have a lot to get into. Do you want to start off with a video game or a non-video game? Both video game related, but one is an actual game, one is not.
I mean, I'd be fine either way. I mean, I'd be fine starting with either the first topic, or if you have something else specific that you're interested in going into first, we could do that. Okay,
so let's talk about Mixer. We foreshadowed it at the beginning of the program, and kind of a bombshell story, Brian, this week, that Mixer is shutting down in 30 days. This was not hey, we're shutting down at the end of the year. This is a net 30 days. July 22nd, their service will be gone, and it will cease to exist. They aren't being bought. They aren't selling it. They are just shutting the service down on July 22nd. So it's not turning into anything else. Now, their partners, they have teamed up with Facebook Gaming to transition their partners from Mixer partners to Facebook Gaming partners, but Mixer itself is not turning into Facebook Gaming. It's just going to cease to exist. So a couple things to go into that. Green Man hits us up with the 29-month resub and says, join my OnlyFans. Mixer has hit me hard. So he's asking people to join his OnlyFans. Absolutely. Green Man Cartoons on OnlyFans. You can check him out. So Brian, my whole thing here is, what was Microsoft expecting? Because the timeline I think is important here. We are sitting in, this service is going to be shut down July 22nd. Over the past 12 months, not even 12 months, but over the past 12 months, they have shelled out upwards of $100+ million, or signed contracts rather, for hundreds of millions of dollars to various large streamers. For example, Ninja, which we talked about extensively when it first happened. That was in August of 2019. There's estimates that that his contract was $30 to $50 million. It was a multi-year contract, but it was still a $30 to $50 million deal. Then 1 month later, October, they signed Shroud over, which was their second big acquisition, and it was estimated that he was anywhere between $10 and $30 million. Plus other, they brought over other medium-sized streamers, and I'm not sure what their contracts were. How is it, Brian, that Microsoft was so... Did they not have a business plan? Because they didn't even wait 12 months. What were they expecting?
Can I give you a little... I think what I think would be a little bit different insight into what is happening.
Sure. I'm open for anything, because this doesn't make any sense.
Side. So having been at Google and seeing how they did things, I can correlate some of these things to kind of match up to similar things that Google did in this exact same type of situation. As you know, the reason we know each other is because of Hangouts, right?
Yes.
And they did Google Hangouts. And a lot of people thought, well, they're doing Google Hangouts because they want people to be social and they want to create this social media platform and they want everybody to use it and they want to replace Facebook. That was the initial day ones, what everybody thought Google Plus and all that was about. And in the end, I think what people finally realized is Google Plus was about them developing streaming technology so they could offer to their Google Apps accounts and to businesses the ability to do conference streaming, right? It was the technology behind everything is what all the Google Plus stuff was about. And then as soon as they got all that stuff they needed, they shut it all down. And now you're starting to see, Teams and you're seeing all these other things where there's are they Teams or Meet? I don't remember. I don't remember which one is.
Google
I think it's
is Meet. Teams is Microsoft. Yeah.
Meet. So now once they got that technology, they started offering as a business product. They shut down all the front end to everyone else. I have a feeling that this for Microsoft was a very similar thing of them testing out their video encoding and packet transfer and load testing for video so that they could offer a high amount of Teams for Microsoft video conferences in a similar way to a lot of so they could have a presenter and a ton of people receiving it. I think this was all test grounds for that. I think it got fast tracked. I think they hit the numbers they were hoping to hit much earlier than expected because of COVID. And now they don't need to do all this testing. They have it out in the wild and people have accepted it. And now it's the new standard. That is my personal opinion of what really happened. Because they realized they're not going to make money off of it as a side thing anyways. It's not competing with all these other things. They got the technology they needed. They got the number of people using Teams. They didn't need Mixer anymore.
So I don't disagree with you. I think that might be part of it, but
I think that plays into this decision.
The thing that I would say though, to clap back at you would be, Brian, that they signed these deals that they signed Ninja and Shroud to were multi-year, multi-million-dollar. I mean, Ninja could have netted 50. By the way, these guys got bought out of their contracts. So Microsoft is having to buy Ninja. Allegedly, they're going to be buying both Ninja and Shroud out of their contracts.
They paid them out Friday. They got the full amount of their contracts on Friday.
Okay, so I hadn't read that, but okay,
I heard that from another source.
Yeah,
but they have already been paid for their full contracts.
So you're talking about million, and those are the two big guys. Now you look at the other guys; they're shelling out 50, 60, maybe even $70 million in these contracts. So again, I'm not disagreeing with you, Brian. I'm not saying that wasn't part of it, but I can't believe
it cost them much. Okay, so look at the current situation though. Right now, they have servers that could be used for business application where they could be locking in contracts.
Not $70 million. No,
but I'm saying they're probably running out. They're probably struggling to keep up with the growth that their meeting services are doing. And for them, they could just now divert immediately all of those resources, data center equipment, everything to using it on their business applications, which in the end makes them more money.
I agree, but I don't. I know Microsoft's got more money than God, and so does Google. But 70. Yeah,
I mean, there is a point where it just doesn't really matter anymore.
It doesn't. But my question to you, Brian, is it's not my question to you. To me, it seems that they didn't have an actual business plan because less than 12
I think it was all just.
Yeah, see, I don't buy that.
I think they were trying to just figure out the technology.
But why would you sign Ninja to a multi-million-dollar, multi-year deal?
Because I think they thought it was going to take them years to do this.
No, I think that may have been part of it. They wanted to compete with Twitch.
But I think they realized they couldn't.
Well, yeah, so my question to you is, what exactly were they expecting? They purchased two streamers, essentially, purchased them their exclusivity. They purchased their content, and they were expecting what? That's what I'm trying to get at here.
Okay,
I'm not arguing that there was a business aspect, but why? What were they expecting?
I think they were wanting two streamers that pulled high number of viewers per stream, so that because they need to see that their service works broadcasting to 20,000 people at one time.
They've already got Azure that does that, and their Azure streaming platform is already used by big companies like CNN and MSNBC and Fox. So Brian,
but are they broadcasting to 20,000+ people at any moment?
I would imagine their Azure CDN is comparable to AWS, which is like the largest which is like probably the largest video CDN in the world. I'm not disagreeing with you, Ron, but I think you're putting too much into the idea that this was all 48D chess business plan. I honest to God
I think they feel like they got the tech and the
I don't think they did.
They
already had the tech. Azure's already had this tech for years. Azure's had this tech.
But it's a different having the tech and then knowing that it works and actually testing it to see if you need to change, because you can have a bottleneck that you do not realize. And a large system like this, when you're dealing with 20,000 and a lot of variables, when you get to those numbers in the real world, things can crash that you don't know.
They could have paid people
this is their way of doing that.
They could have paid people $500 or $600 a month to watch things on Mixer and have more simultaneous viewers. If that was only the case, then they are retarded when it comes to being a business, because they grossly overpaid for the services. I honestly think they thought they were going to be able to compete with Twitch, and I don't see in any world in which buying 2 exclusive streamers, you think you're going to win over an entire integrated platform. To me, it seems like they didn't have an actual business plan.
I think, most likely they're probably hoping that they would get lucky. But
hope is not how you run business. I mean, that's not how you do a business. That's what I'm saying. It's less than 12 months.
Doesn't it feel like Google was just hoping Google Plus would work?
Yeah, but that was it.
But they weren't willing to put in the work to actually do it?
But they weren't paying people $50 or $60 million to use their service. That's the point I'm getting at. Is I understand trying to learn the tech, but Jesus, there's no way that when they bought Ninja and Shroud's exclusivity and some of these, those are the 2 big guys, but some of these streamers, that their only goal was to build to test their CDN. I don't believe that. Microsoft's already got
I think for them
CDN.
To test that on a large scale is that would be cheap for them.
I don't think so. I think that there's no way.
In a real world
environment.
Brian.
There's no way. You could literally pay people $100 a week to just go and watch things on Mixer and get more.
Google paid me hundreds of dollars to look at a screen of icons and tell them which one I thought looked the best. I mean, they'll throw money at you. For them, it's just a business decision.
Yeah, I think there's more to it. Okay. Okay. How about their the work that they did at conventions? How much do you think they spent at PAX the past 2 years paying to have people out there doing all those streams? They were absolutely trying to build a platform. The question I think
originally they were.
And I think up until the last day they were. My question is to you, and not to you specifically, but my question is, what were they looking for? Well, I just don't understand what they were actually trying to do, because they didn't do anything besides purchase 2 streamers. Really, I mean, when the cards are all settled, when this is said and done, they spent upwards $50+ million securing 2 people, and that's it. That's it. They literally did nothing.
I mean, I just personally, I think they were saying, okay, well, maybe this will work if we can get it. If it works, great, right? But if not, then they'll have them. They'll be getting the technology figured out. They'll be testing streaming. They'll have access. The thing is, what was driving people to Mixer before Shroud and before Ninja? I mean, they didn't have any high channels with high numbers of users. They were all like 100 maybe.
Well, they still didn't.
They didn't
even after Ninja and Shroud.
Then when he switched, they didn't carry over exactly the 20 to 30,000 person streams that they were hoping for, I think.
Well, here's the thing. they did carry over large viewer numbers, but the difference
but
between
not the same number of Twitch numbers.
No, but the problem that Mixer ran into was that they tried buying Shroud and Ninja, and the users, from what I can understand, and based on looking at it, the people that went to watch Shroud and Ninja only watch Shroud and Ninja. Now on Twitch,
they didn't build their platform at all.
The people that watch Shroud and Ninja probably also watch other people, like Summit, like Dan's Gaming, like the Sevitus, the guys over at Nerd Fusion, all these large channels, right? So it's the community thing. So they bought. That's what I don't understand is what they were going for. They bought the guys, but they didn't. To me, it doesn't seem like they tried to expand the platform. So people were coming to watch Shroud or Ninja, if they even were at all, and then they would just leave.
I think they would have been better off trying to implement some sort of a system. Like, what drives people here? Twitch Prime. Having a way to, out of your pocket, not without it costing you something personally, other than something you might already be paying for, you were able to support your favorite streamers. I think that if they would have been better off using those funds, the 30 million or whatever, the 10 to 20 million, and pushing that into something that then gets passed on to your average everyday streamer, because that's how you're going to get people coming to your platform and trying to make a living out of it, is having a way. I just never saw that they had a real way, like Twitch Prime has allowed, for people to try to become full-time streamers without begging for people to actually pull out their wallets and give them real cash.
They could have paid small to medium-sized streamers $500 a month, Brian. They could have paid 10,000 of those people. 10,000 people they could have paid $500 a month for a year.
Yeah. Well, and I think Judd hits it right in the head. Have something from a Microsoft service like Office 365 or something, to where if you have that sub, that you can then gift something, or even your Xbox, your Xbox sub, your Game Pass, that having that allows you to do something like Twitch Prime. That would be one way to do it, to where you're actually giving money to people, because that is the downside of their streaming service. There was no way for people to easily get money.
I mean, here's the thing. They could have paid small to medium-sized guys $2,000 or $3,000 a month, which now if you live in a big city, that's not a lot, but $2,000 or $3,000 a month is an average household income across most of the United States. They could have paid medium-sized guys $40,000 or $50,000 a year, and would have had in my opinion, would have had way better luck than paying Shroud and Ninja combined upwards of $50 million. And that's my
even
opinion.
having something where with the top 100 streamers on the network, like they get some sort of a bonus. Like you
could have paid the top 100. You could have paid the top 100 streamers $10,000 a month and still have plenty of money. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
The numbers are
should have created
astronomical.
something to drive numbers, because just bringing two people over wasn't enough to make the platform viable. They needed a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, they literally could have paid would have been for 5 months. They could have paid the top 100 streamers $10,000 a month, and it was
I think they would have got a lot farther if you created a system where people had to stream a certain amount, get a certain number of viewers, and then they would possibly get $100. You know what I'm saying? Dude, that would drive a lot of people.
You could pay.
You would be surprised what $100 would be for people.
Well, not even $100. You could pay somebody $1,500 a month and say, "Hey, you need to stream on average 14 to 20 something hours a week."
But the thing is, they'd have to gamify it, like, because that's what Twitch has done. They've gamified it. They've made it to where the streamer is really pushing for those subs. Like, and they're practically free, but they're trying to entertain the person enough where it's like, I've got my free sub, I'm going to give it to you. They'd have to create something, rather than just being like, all right, you sign up, we're going to give you $1,500. You're going to get really low quality content. But if you gamified it to where you said, all right, through some sort of a perk system, we're then going to pay you, like, that's because that's all Amazon does with Twitch.
They would have been better off.
If they could have gamified it, they would have had much better results and probably had something more like Twitch.
They could have given $50 million to users to spend on their streamers, and it probably would have been better. My point.
I think that would have been much better. I think in the end, if they would have thought it through, I think that would have been much better.
Yeah, I don't want to lament on this too much. I just, from somebody that, Brian, I like to think I'm young. I'm 23. but I like to think I've got a relatively. I think I'm relatively mature when it comes to a business and finance. Well, I absolutely am mature when it comes to a financial side, but from a business and financial side, I just can't wrap my head around what they thought they were going to accomplish with $50 million. I mean, they would have been better off just burning it in the streets, honestly, or flushing it down the toilet. I mean, it's just literally less than 10 months from Shroud signing on. 10 months. He's going to be paid $1 million a month by Mixer with his contract buyout. But over the last 10 months, it was going to work out to $1 million a month Microsoft paid him.
Yeah.
That is completely illogical to me. So,
but when you're dealing with businesses that are dealing in billions, this to them is an acceptable loss.
You make a good point. So, big news there. That leaves Amazon, pretty much high and mighty on the throne. Now the other question is, Mixer is pretty well integrated into Xbox. So I have no freaking clue what they're going to do with that. That's like very well integrated. Do
you think now this is going to open up for them, including more streaming services on the Xbox?
There's not. The only other service is Twitch.
What I'm saying is they need to integrate Twitch. They need to integrate Facebook. They need to integrate all of these to where the player can choose either who they want to watch or what platform they want to stream on without it being you need to use our service.
At this point in time, there's pretty much two. It's Twitch and Facebook Gaming. And in my opinion, Facebook Gaming is a joke. I don't know. I've never watched it. I don't know anybody that does watch it. I don't even know anybody that streams on it.
Shroud and Ninja both rejected.
I'm sure they did.
They were offered contracts with Facebook Gaming and they turned them down.
Why would they want that?
Yeah. I mean, they now need to go back and make sure they maintain their viewership at this point, whether it's on Twitch or somewhere that's legitimate.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a great time to start a streaming company and get a couple of these guys on board and try to build something. But I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. But so there you go. King Twitch is back on the throne. With all of their ridiculous policies and antics, there's now, I mean, DLive is there, but it's a far throw. So you've pretty much got.
Well, hopefully another
Twitch.
Streaming services looks at why the reason that Twitch has been successful is because of Amazon and because of Twitch Prime subs. Hopefully, next time a company or a group of an investing company is looking at how can we compete with Twitch, they actually look at what makes Twitch successful. It's the talent, but it's the way that they acquire the talent, and people that are truly talented are, like Dr. Disrespect. If there wasn't a Twitch, he'd probably be figuring out some other way creatively, whether it was on YouTube or something else, to try to promote his brand, right? Yeah. They have to figure out, how do we incentivize these people to realize that there is a future on our platform to where they will invest, because the streamers are investing a lot, of time and money and everything, getting on the platform and having it run correctly. How do we make it to where they feel like there's a possible payout at the end of this road of doing all this work? Because it doesn't happen overnight. One of the fastest growing streamers I ever saw was Dr. Disrespect, because he kind of came out of nowhere. But most of them, they take years, unless they already have some sort of a backing in a professional gaming or something that people already know them. It takes years building up your brand.
Yeah. Agreed.
So,
well, there you go. That is Mixer. All right, Brian. Well, a video game came out this past week and you played it. And
but I've been playing it. Yes.
Yeah. So The Last of Us, was it called Part 2 or Last of Us 2?
Part 2, I think, is actually in the title.
So that is now out. Was highly anticipated. And then a bunch of leaks came out a couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, that I think for a lot of people made them do a double take did they want to play this game. Now, Brian, is there going to be any spoilers in this segment?
No, I'll do it without. I can do it without spoilers.
Okay, so we're not going to be
on some things I could say, but but I will say some things that I found to be false,
Okay.
or
Well,
from what I can tell are false.
viewer discretion advised for the next couple of minutes. If you're super into the game and don't want to have anything spoiled, go grab something to drink or push your podcast forward a couple minutes. So Brian, the big concern before this was that the wokeness of The Last of Us 2 was going to ruin the game. What would your, and I know you were kind of iffy on if you were even going to get it after you saw those leaks, and you were like, what does this have to do with the story? Like, I played the first one. What the hell's going on here? So what is, first of all, how much have you played? And was in fact the story just riddled with this political stuff and kind of took you out of the game?
I'm hours into it. I haven't kept track of exactly how many hours, but I am hours into it. And I've been doing some research kind of, because I'm trying to figure out what was true from the original, like things people are saying.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason I'm playing through it, because I just want to see what was reality.
Yeah.
So here's my way of, I'm gonna think about everything I say, because I'm trying not to give any spoilers.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Excuse me if I pause for a second. But first of all, there's one character that was said to be a trans character, not a trans character.
Really?
Now, supposedly there is another one later. For some reason, this girl is she's in a post-apocalyptic environment, and she's doing steroids or something, because it's a chick with pecs and arms that would make you cry. It's very odd. I mean, it's just odd that would be a person. It's just, you look at her and you're like, okay, I can't really tell which one they're going for, because she's got pecs, she's got arms like this, she's got a ponytail that goes halfway down her back, face like a girl mostly, body like a dude. I don't really understand where we're going, but all right.
Is this a new character?
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
There is a link to the original one, but I don't remember anything. I don't think she was actually in the first one. It's just there's a link to the first one somehow, but you never see it.
Gotcha.
Right. And yeah, I haven't hit the part where she's naked yet, PH. But so that's one thing. But supposedly there is another that I haven't run into, another trans character, whatever. But I think a lot of the things that maybe you would have seen the memes about and things like that, she's just a chick that must work out 12 hours a day and use steroids in a post-apocalyptic environment where you're struggling to get food. I'm sure they have plenty of time to sit there and take steroids, but whatever.
Gotcha.
Now let me give you my biggest, without any spoilers, what I think so many people are truly upset about, because I think they're trying to pass it off as, oh, it's because of all the wokeness and all that. No, it's the fact that they took out all the things that you enjoyed of the first one. There are sprinkles of it here and there. They do flashback scenes. Kind of taking through some of the original, like not doing the original content, but it's going back to times from the original.
Mm-hmm.
Those are actually enjoyable. But then you get back to the regular game and you're like, there were times I just had to set the controller down and say, I got to take a break, because I'm just so, like, I'm frustrated. Like, this is really annoying to me. And usually the opposite, I compare this to like Red Dead Redemption 2. I felt like I was trying to squeeze every little bit, that I could out of it. Like I played, like I was just wandering around looking for some side quests I could find anywhere, because I just wanted to get more of the game. This one, I put it on the easiest mode so I can get through as quickly as possible, because I get so annoyed and frustrated. There's the only part that actually has any kind of a, like, this is nice feel is those flashbacks. After that, all you're doing is killing things nonstop. And that is not what the first one was about. Like, you're just going through and slaughtering things. It's just nonstop slaughter. And you're just like, I'm about ready. Take a break with it. Like, it's supposed to be kind of more open world. No, I mean, they try to make it. It's still incredibly narrow. You only can be, I wanted to wander around and see, because it's Seattle, I think.
Like that.
I wanted to go and see how much of the city I could see, but you can't. You're locked to a little narrow street, and you're only doing that one thing for that street, and it really locks you in. It's very frustrating. And I really enjoyed the first one. As you know, the reason that I bought my PlayStation in the first place was for The Last of Us and Red Dead Redemption. That was it. I wanted to play the first Red Dead Redemption before the second one came out. which I did, and then I wanted to play The Last of Us, and then I was looking forward to this one. This game, just take all the politics out of it. You want to know what they and what it comes down to. Neil Druckmann, the director of this, he even said that they weren't trying to create a game that you would really enjoy. They wanted to like just make you feel involved, or it was something weird. They didn't want you to enjoy the game. They didn't want you to feel happy through the game. Well, that's what you did in the first one. The first one was a story about a gruff old guy and this young girl, and how she gets him to kind of soften up, and he gets her through this really tough situation, and in the end they bond. And it's that story of growth and change. There is no story of anything that I've seen up until this point. And I haven't, but the problem is I haven't even got to the really controversial parts yet. And so we'll see if I have, anything a little bit more negative or kind of frustrating, but just the part that I've been playing through so far. And I've gone, I've hit parts. I've hit the part where people are really mad about. I've hit that. And I'm getting to the second part that other people are also mad about. I'm like right about there. And it's just incredibly frustrating. The game just, you don't feel like, because before with Red Dead, it was like, I'd work, I'd do school, whatever. It was like, okay, now we can get back and play some more Red Dead. With this, I feel like, man, I got to put some time into it. I got to try, I want to get through the story. I put everything on the easiest. I'm trying to get through as quickly as possible because I just want to get to the end so I can see if my things that I was thinking were going to happen and are true, what I've heard is true, and if you give an actual real, without having any politics or other people's opinion in it. I wanted to give a real, here's what I think of this game. And that's what I think of this game so far, is it does not feel fun. Technology-wise, they've done a good job with level design. They did a good job with some of the technical things. The voice acting is amazing. The animation and the way that they make it fluid is amazing. But when you get down to the actual gameplay and the story, it's just so stupid. They're not even trying to, like, usually they'll have a section where it's like really rough and things are tough and it gets the player frustrated in a game, but then they'll bring relief. Like they'll bring some sort of comedy relief or something that's sentimental. Like they'll kind of take it and make you feel better about it after that. This doesn't have that. They just make you feel like crap the whole time. And then you're just like, I have to keep going. And it never changes. The mechanics, usually, here's without any spoilers, here's some things that frustrate me about mechanics in the game. First of all, the only thing you do is smash the square button. Anything like something attacks you, there's no like doing anything in a fancy way. You just hit square as fast as you can, and maybe you'll overcome the person that's attacking you and trying to overpower you. Maybe you won't. There's no other mechanics, and the only other thing you do is you push like some sort of a block, in a lot of their games, how they do this to climb up onto something. Those are the two, and then throw the rope or, throw the power cord. Those are the three types of things that you do. That's it. So there's just not very much variety. It's just it's very odd. I mean, it was not, I think they made a very, very poor choice, and it comes down to the directing and the writing. The directing, and that comes down to one person. That was Neil Druckmann. He did both.
Yeah, I'm looking through the reviews here on Metacritic, Brian. Now, of course, the video game journalists, those highly esteemed individuals, give it a
10 out of 10s, except for one was a 9 out of 10.
No, they gave it a 95 out of 103 critic.
But I'm
reviews.
saying if you look at the individual reviews, on the day of release, they were all 10 out of 10, except for one. One person did a 9 out of 10.
So now let's look at the actual users. 71,000 user reviews. And it's got an average score of 4.3. And Brian, I would agree with you here that just while you were talking there, I was listening and reading through some of these reviews, and the big thing that I keep seeing over and over again is the lack of development on a story, poor writing.
The characters never grow. Like there's no
character development.
That's what they loved about the first one.
Yeah.
What you really loved about the first one was Joel's growth. And just through both of the characters, their growth and their change, and how at the end they were very different people. That's absolutely not happening in this whatsoever. Nothing is changing. Like they're just remaining just the stupid characters they were. Nothing is changing. Nothing's getting better. All they're doing is killing things for no apparent reason either. And the reason, and the way that I had to stop myself so I wouldn't do a spoiler. The first dramatic thing that happens in the game that people are really pissed about makes no sense whatsoever how it happened. No sense.
So let me ask you this, Brian. Moving on from that, how is it that a game with so much lore... Now, I played about half of the first Last of Us. It isn't my kind of game. Fine. But how is it that a game like this, which had so much to work with, it doesn't appear that they didn't try to pull a Fallout 76 where they're like, oh, well, we have we have a game that works. Let's try to do something completely different. How is it that they missed the ball so badly? I mean, if these now here's the thing. A lot of these reviews, I'm sure people haven't finished the full game and those things change over time, but 75,000 reviews is a lot. And do you have any insight as of playing as much as you have? How did they miss the mark? There's different levels of not being able to perform in a sequel. We see this with movies all the time, Brian. Lots of sequels suck. Yeah. How did they miss it so bad?
I think he felt like he had hit a point to where he could then decide what the person playing the game should feel. And I think that he felt like this one was going to be some enlightening experience where you're just, because I think what they're trying to do is teach you a lesson rather than give you an enjoyable experience. They want to teach you a lesson that violence and all the things that they're trying to show happening throughout the game doesn't pay off. Like, for instance, they have you. Here's one. This is something that happens in the game, but it's not a spoiler, right? It's
all
not.
Right, well, hey, fast forward a minute or two. Mute your
a minute, yeah. But there's a point where you kill a dog in the game.
Oh,
and but then after that, they try to make you feel bad about killing the dog, but you have no choice. You have no choice in the whole thing but to kill the dog. So now they're going to put out a patch saying, oh, well, you don't have to kill the dog, because a lot of people, dog lovers, were getting mad. But that's the kind of thing they're doing throughout the game. It's like, oh, well, we're going to make you kill the dog, first of all, but then we're going to tell you that you're a bad person for having done it. That doesn't work in video games. If you gave me a choice between the two, and then I chose to make the kind of the bad guy choice, okay, then come back at me and say, oh, well, you made a bad choice. You shouldn't have done that. Let's make some repercussions later in the game for it. Not on a forced decision. It doesn't work because I'm not the one who killed the dog. The director is the one who killed the dog. All they had to do is watch the cutscene of it happening, right? You're missing the whole point. The director is missing the whole point.
It's
just frustrating.
Virtue signaling isn't the right word to use, but is it some sort of like holier than thou? Like, I mean, I get what you're trying.
That's what I think. I think because of his success of the first one. So coming into the first one, he was a very low level employee, right? I mean, it compared. He came into it. He was working for Naughty Dog.
This is a Naughty Dog, yeah.
But he was working on what's the one with the Drake and all that? It's what's that series that's that they do? They have a series of games that's their other one that's the most successful games that they do. It's the one where you're a guy who's going into all these crazy environments, and it's kind of like a superhero, not a superhero. I don't remember the name of it, but they have another one.
Watch Dogs?
No, not that one. It's one of their original titles that they have like 6 of them now. But he was working on that, and he had this story like in his mind of what The Last of Us became. Uncharted. Thank you, Greenman.
Oh, okay.
So Uncharted. So the Uncharted series, he was working on that originally.
Those are great games.
And he pitched the concept of The Last of Us, and they made it, and it became much more successful than I think they ever anticipated.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I think now he's coming into this. When he did the original one, it was hope. It was built on hope. Maybe this will work. Maybe people will like it. I think now he feels like, well, you have to like it. This is one of the most successful games that Naughty Dog has, and it still has numbers that are really high as far as purchases, right? I think that he felt like he couldn't do wrong. He's like, well, now I'm going to teach you a moral lesson, rather than making a game that he thought would sell and people would actually want to play. Now he's going to teach you a moral lesson playing a game, and that does not work because they didn't write it well enough to make that happen. It would have been better if you would have eased in various lessons and things from decisions that people made, but you can't force. It's like reading a book and then have something happening in the book and then you say, oh, you're a bad reader because you read this in the book. That's not how it works, because I didn't write it. They wrote it. All those things that they're then trying to say I should feel bad in the game for having done it, they wrote it. They made it to where you have no choice but to do it. So they don't have the opportunity to then teach me a moral lesson, because it's them that made the mistake, not me. I didn't do anything. You know, so it's just very frustrating.
So it's like it's like you're being shamed throughout the game. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, they're shaming you. But then the crazy thing is, like this there's decisions in the games that happens that just don't make any sense. Like usually in a game, he's like, okay, well, if that situation happened, yeah, I would probably react like that. No, almost everything that's happened to this is all things that I would not have done. I'm like, why would, you know, when you, I try not to do spoilers, but let's say you kill somebody.
Okay.
And someone that they care about is nearby, right? Would you leave that other person alive that saw you do it?
No, you'd kill them.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want them coming back and being mad at you and possibly getting revenge.
Yes.
That happens multiple times here, multiple times throughout the story, to where because they want it to where it continues the story forward, but it makes no logical sense. They could have redone it much, much better way, and come out with a very similar outcome, but that makes sense to where the player actually feels like they made the decision. In Red Dead, I felt like things were happening and I was a part of the story. For this, I don't feel like I'm a part of the story. I feel like I'm observing it. And that's not how a game is supposed to be. I might as well watch a movie at that point.
So, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So it's kind of like a movie, but a crappy movie.
Yeah, Green Man saying decisions there are no decisions. You make zero decisions. You either manage the cutscene or you don't, and you have to start it over again and do it until you do it right.
That's weird.
You know, there is zero decisions that you actually make in this whole thing. You're just, except for how you run from point A to point B. You could go to the right and kind of go down this little path that looks a little different, or you could go to the left. That they did that so that you feel like you're actually making a choice and you happen to stumble upon. But when you look at the actual level design, you have no choice but go to that one point to do that one thing, and that's frustrating. It's very not open world.
Well, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate because it seemed like they had,
they did lie. Like they're pointing out in chat right now, they lied in the trailers to try to make it so you couldn't see what really happened. These trailers that they teased about, there are things that are not in the game at all.
Yeah, that's super scummy. Well, here's the thing: if I were a gambling man, I would say that this franchise is probably done. I can't imagine that a third game.
I can't imagine them doing a third. It would. Well,
I don't know.
I can't even say. I can't even say anything without. I can't. There's things I can't even say without ruining the game for people.
But to me, it seems like
there's no way they can do a third. No way.
Yeah,
there is the third. This is the third, really, because there was a side story.
Yeah,
but, so let's a part 3 they cannot do.
Yeah, well, even if they could, right? Let's just say they could. It to me, it seems like the damage is done on this franchise. If in fact these Metacritic reviews, again, the game's been out a week.
PH thinks there's going to be a third. I just can't imagine why they would.
Put it in the book. The Metacritic reviews have only been out. The game's only been out a week, so the Metacritic reviews, and I'm guilty of this, Brian. I'm sure you're guilty of this too. You only get up in arms and leave a bad review, leave a review when it's a bad review. So this will change. I'm sure this number will change, but it's 43 out of 100.
So am I saying? Am I saying there won't be a third? Is that I'm putting my prediction?
I mean, I don't know. Is that your prediction?
I don't think they'll do a third one.
All right, there you go. Then there's your prediction.
Unless they do something that's a prologue. Unless they do something that goes back before or covers some of the in-between times between now and the first one.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine them. continuing the story at this point with what's happened.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. That's
okay.
That's.
Can I do one more thing? Okay. Can I?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, Brian. It's your show. I don't care.
Okay. So
is it a spoiler?
Parts. No, not really. Not really. It's things that are in the game, but it's here's some of the politics part of it. I just want to point out some of the politics side of it that frustrates me. First of all, in the very beginning of the game, part of the one set of the bad guys was very obviously Antifa. Because they had a poster and it has a communist symbol and it's got various things for Antifa, and it's just like Antifa. So one side is Antifa. Who are the other guys that later in the game, who are they fighting against? Now, and I'm doing this is not really spoiler because I haven't played that part, so I can't really give any spoilers, but I know they exist because I'm starting to see hints of them. There are Christians in the game that Antifa is fighting.
Of course.
So it's Antifa versus Christians. And they make the Christians seem like the bad guys because they don't like gay people. Right. So that's where a lot of it comes down to, and some other things. That is the part that's frustrating to me. This is very bad timing for this game to come out because it is highlighting some of the worst things in society that are happening right now. And it's promoting Antifa. And then it's saying that they're picking a side. They're picking a lot of the turmoil on that is a 50-50 thing, right? 50% of society believes one way, 50% of society generally believes another. They are saying they are picking their side and then pitching it as a game because they think that everybody thinks the way that they do. Like we've talked about this before. California, most people think that everyone else in the world thinks like them. And then they're shocked when 50% of the world doesn't, right? That is one frustrating thing about this is you can see the politics in the background where they're correlating. And this is a very bad time, I think, to be pushing something like this when we're already dealing with it in real life. And then when you're trying to escape some of the frustrations and stress of real life, bam, there it is in the video game that you've been looking forward to playing.
Yeah,
I don't need to hear about Antifa versus Christians versus I can turn on the news. I can turn on CNN. I can turn on anything else and see that play out in real life. A game is supposed to be escaping those things, and they try to make you feel sorry for Antifa. And you never try to feel sorry for the Christian because, why would you want to do that? It's incredibly frustrating to see this play out. It's like, I don't need to see this anymore because this is daily life at this point. Like, get it out of the game. And I tried to leave a Metacritic review. They don't let you leave right now. They don't let you leave negative reviews anymore. So if you go on there, they have it time out. If you leave a negative review, it times out. If you leave a positive review, magically it goes through. Explain that to me.
Yeah, little tomfoolery going on.
Yeah, there's some weird things happening at Metacritic right now because they're trying to slow down. There would be many more negative reviews on there, but a couple days ago, you couldn't leave a negative review without it timing out most of the time.
Jesus. Well, that's unfortunate because it seemed like this game, well, it didn't seem like this game's franchise had seemingly the entire world to gain in terms of popularity. Incredibly, I would make the argument, Brian, it was probably the most looked forward to Sony exclusive right now. And I don't think it's unfair to say that. And it appears that they botched it big time. And now obviously you'll still make your money, right? Because everybody's still going to buy it, but at what cost, right? To me, it seems like this franchise has done irreparable damage to it. And if that's the case, then, hey, get your $1 million payday kind of thing. But to me, it doesn't seem like this is going to turn into a Far Cry or an Uncharted or a Just Cause where you've got
they played their politics too early. The part of the problem is they played their politics too early. They changed it from a game that tried to make you enjoy it and fall in love with the characters to one that was trying to teach you to be the person that they think you should be, which is not how life works. You're not going to teach me and punish me and say that I think wrong because of a video game and I need to change my thinking. And here, let us play out this story for you that's so detached from reality, other than the fact that part of it, they have these two things. But you're not going to get me to be like, oh, I love Antifa now because I just watched them kill everybody, whatever. It's not, they did a very poor job of making you feel attached to anybody in the game to where you actually feel bad that, you know, things are happening. They just did a bad job.
Well, I know you were hemming and hawing on purchasing it, and I think you asked me something about it, and I said, hey man, like you really should get it and play it.
Because I didn't want to come into this and do it all based on things I heard, you know, this third party knowledge.
So
I want to be able to say, if I didn't like it, here's why.
Yeah.
And it makes me very frustrated every day playing that stupid game.
Well,
every day I'm making myself do it every day.
Well, I thank you for that, Brian. And I'm glad, I was glad to hear. I purposely did not I listened to a couple things, but purposely did not listen to a lot to sway my thinking one way or the other. So thank you for that, Brian. That's, that was good. I mean, at this point,
I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks to have it done, and then we can figure out, you know, see if anything has changed in my opinion, or feel like maybe I was, you know, like, hey, I totally missed the point of the whole game, you know, and I'm enlightened at the end. That could happen.
Possible. Yeah.
We'll see. Or maybe I'll be like, yeah, it was crap the whole time, but save your $60.
Save your $60. All right. Well, I mean, what a jam-packed news week, Brian. You know, I'm sitting here late last week, just enjoying, I don't know what day of the week it was. It was like a Thursday or a Friday. And I was watching some TV before bed. And, you know, as you know, most people do, because have such short attention spans, as I'm watching TV, I'm also browsing social media because, you know, God forbid I'm attached to one thing at a specific time.
One thing, you have to focus on one thing at a time.
And what do I see but a tweet from the folks over at Cyberpunk 2077 that they are once again delaying the launch. A statement from them. Yep. We have decided to move the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 from September 17th to November 19th. Those of us who are familiar with the way we make games know that we won't ship something which is not ready. Blah, 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 blah. A bunch of bullshit. And
well, who knows? Maybe that they found that their story is really close to The Last of Us 2 and they have to restart over. You never know.
I just want to take you through the timeline. This game was supposed to be out April 16th of this year. It was announced at E3 29. Well, the release date was announced at E3 2019, which was in what? June of 2019? And June I think is when E3 is. And it was supposed to come out in April. Now, they delayed it to September 17th in January. So they gave us a couple months notice. Then Thursday of last week, they are now moving September to November. This game is going to come out 30 days before the new Xbox and PlayStation. What are they thinking? Just delay it to 2021 and call it a day.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
why bother? You're going to release a new game for a console when a new one is going to be out in less than 30 days? Why?
Well, okay, but I think they're doing free upgrades to.
It doesn't matter.
Xbox.
Why would you build a game for the generation that is going to be, by the way, already old consoles that when they came out in 2013 were 2 years behind? You developed a game for a 9+-year-old platform, and 30 days after the launch of your game.
How many people are going to buy it day one on the old version? And then you'll also get all these people that then, because they're releasing an enhanced version that'll have all the new technology in it for the new consoles, then you'll have people that will buy it just because it's on the new console. I think you're not. I don't think they're doing double the sales because I think it automatically upgrades to the new console, the version. But I'm thinking they're going to get people that aren't willing to upgrade, that aren't upgrading to the new console right away, and then you get people that are getting the new console that want to have that to be the primary game that they play with their first, that console. To
me, it seems like this would be better off as a launch title. I don't know why.
It would, but I think
I don't know why.
The thing is, they want to have it already has backwards compatibility. It's compatible with the current version, so they want to get that out there, and it'll make, other than them just releasing it all at once and saying, all right, you can buy it on either platform. I mean, that would be the other option, but might as well get the people that can buy it first that maybe will buy it early, and they'll get those big day one sales out of the way, and then move on with all the people that buy it once the console comes out.
I don't think it's going to come out in November.
Maybe they might push it back another game.
They've pushed it back 3 times. Why would I believe that they're going to not push it back again?
Yeah.
I don't know. This game is going to be a letdown. There is
I don't
point
know.
In time,
I mean, I'm
there
open to it being great and being one of the best games I've ever played.
No way.
But we've seen in the past where there's things you look forward to. Well, I mean, we're living through one right now where it just doesn't hit expectations.
It is inconceivable to me that this game is any good. And by the way, the multiplayer
technology-wise, it might be amazing.
Well, that's great. And by the way, the multiplayer part of this game has been pushed back to 2021. So
one thing I want to point out, Head Neophyte, he's saying, reworking the engine for the new consoles would take another year or more. No, they're already producing it for the new consoles.
Exactly.
So these games they're starting to see right now, they are automatically will carry over and upgrade to the new consoles when you get one.
But they had to build it with the old consoles in mind.
And they built it with the old consoles in mind, and then they went through and added as the new consoles engines got put to gold or whatever. Now they had to go through and then add all these enhanced features and better features. So
crazy.
Yep.
What is CD Projekt Red thinking?
I don't know. My hope is that when we know it, Witcher 3 I stopped playing Witcher 3 to be able to play The Last of Us 2.
Well, that was a good
partly
decision.
maybe that's why I'm frustrated, because I was really enjoying The Witcher. And the way that they tell a story, everything is just so much better. But I'm hoping that they use the same attention to detail and the same flow and everything with Cyberpunk, because if they do it that way, it will be a good game. I would be very surprised if they pull, and maybe they realize we can fail. Maybe The Last of Us opened their eyes a little bit to the possibility that they can fail. It's not a guarantee just because you have a successful title before, because look at what happened to The Last of Us 2. They're getting slaughtered. But everybody loves Witcher 3. But there's a chance that people would hate this game.
But I don't think 2 months is going to change that. I mean, if you've got a crappy game,
you're
not going to rewrite
who knows what kind of
game.
politics or things that they may have thrown in there they're realizing may really hurt them, that they're now pulling out. That is a possibility. We don't know. There could be elements of the story that they're realizing that, your average gamer doesn't actually want to see in a game, because they already started doing things where there are no genders in the game, and they're already putting a little bit of those things in there. Maybe they had some things where they really were trying to make you think in the game and kind of push some more politics in there, that maybe they're rewriting those stories, redoing the animations, rerouting around those to get them out of the game. That would be a very big possibility, that they said, okay, it'll take us 2 months to redo those.
I didn't think about that. That's interesting, Brian. That's
my thought. Yeah, I think that or it could be, Nisco's pointing out, it could be things that are making it even what we would consider worse. It's it could be things with things happening in society right now, that they're we got to now make it so that none of these things are mentioned, or these things are mentioned. Or there could be that they looked at The Last of Us 2 and said, all right, people don't want politics, they don't want a lesson in a game. All right, well, let's take those out and let's make it more of, because if you played all through Witcher 3, tell me what lesson they were forcing you to learn in that. No, they just wanted you to have fun. You're playing through someone else's experience. They're not trying to make the actual player change. That's not what a game is for. You can do that. Maybe if you did it masterfully enough, it would actually have an effect. But if you miss it, you get The Last of Us 2, right? So I think them trying to go in and teach moral lessons is a very big risk, because when you find out that you're the one that's on the wrong side, or you maybe don't realize it, but when you find out, not everybody thinks like I do, or not everybody thinks like the studio does, all of a sudden you have half to 3/4 of the people in the world saying, what are you guys thinking? Why are you doing this? This game is stupid. That they need to be very careful, because there's you got your cancel culture, and then you've got real gamers that are actually saying, I don't need all this stuff in the game. Who knows what part they may be looking at, but that's my guess. is that they're probably reworking certain things based on recent events, or based on, well, recent events of, with police. Who knows what it is? Maybe there's a killing scene in there that maybe was would make people mad. Who knows? Could be anything. Yeah, Locklear says the biggest concern of Witcher 3 is who you'll shack up with. There's not. It's a very casual game. People want casual games. They want it to where they go and play, and when they put it down, they're like, "Oh, that was fun," and then walk away. Not I feel like I felt with The Last of Us. I feel exhausted by the time I play it. I'm like, but each day I'm like, oh, I have to play a little bit more. That's not what a game wants, and so that's the concern, is that they need to do it like they did The Witcher 3, which was done very well.
Yeah, Brian, I'll tell you what. I mean, I know we got a lot of news to get into, and I want to get into it. But I mean, I am so fed up with some of this stuff. I mean, you're spot on. People just want to disconnect, and then you've got these games that
but they feel like it's their moral obligation to make you, to reteach you something.
Oh, it's just exhausting.
When I buy a game, it's so, as you said, I can disconnect. I can have an alternate reality that I can forget about all the crap that's going on outside of this room, right? I can come in here, I can relax, I can play a game and not think about anything else. And then when they bring politics into it, and they start bringing politics to the game, and they're bringing things that are reminiscent of current events, get that out of my game. I don't want to see that. Like that's where I think some of these studios, they feel like it's their obligation to fix you. No, it's not. Make a game that I enjoy playing. Or you could, unless your studio is built on making games that are supposed to, adjust people's thinking. Okay, that's, people buy it knowing that's what's happening. But when you have existing studios with a different track record that now all of a sudden feel like they're going to teach you morals or teach you how you're supposed to think, that's not the right place.
Yeah, it's very
and if you're going to do it, you need to do it so subtly. Like most places will do it very subtly. You need to do it so subtly to where in the end they don't realize that you taught them something. That would be the better way to do it. Not bash them over the head, because they're like that is a big danger, is bashing someone over the head to where they're supposed to feel how you felt. Well, you don't know that they're going to feel the same way that you did at the end of that scene, because you have a very different set of morals, or you have a very different set of perspective or background than the person maybe, producing the game. They can't guarantee. There's too many people with different thinking. Just like they thought, oh, well, of course, everybody's going to like Antifa and they're going to hate those Christians. Well, surprise, I bet you half of America doesn't think that way. Right?
Possibly. Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, statistic wise, so things like that, these studios need to be very careful. And I'm hoping that if they found something to where they're possibly creating something that could really create kind of that meme thing, like what happened with The Last of Us 2, I'm hoping that I hope that's what these 2 months are about, is fixing those things so that you have a better game that's less politics, less stress, and just let people play the game and forget about everything else. That's my hope. If not, then, maybe it's just a normal delay.
Yeah. Another example of why you should also not pre-order games, because your pre-order that you may have made in early or late 2019 or early 2020, where you've already shelled out money, has now been pushed back to November. And
there's been reports that they're not allowing a lot of, for like The Last of Us 2, they're not allowing refunds and returns at a lot of places because so many people try to return it.
Interesting.
So if you pre-order a game, there's a chance that even if you don't play it, you may not be able to get your funds back.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Lots of interesting things coming up, and we'll take it. We'll do our best to take you through all of it. Brian, do you have a game giveaway here that we can get set up?
Yeah, let me go ahead and get it started.
All right. Well, while Brian gets that set up, let's talk a little bit about 7 Days to Die, and it's actually on sale right now. But before its very long anticipated Alpha 19, it is a steal of a deal on Humble Bundle right now. It is 66% off. So you can get this game for $8.50 now. It's normally $25 on on Humble Bundle. So the link for that will be in our show notes. It's infectionpodcast.com. And we are patiently waiting Alpha 19, which we don't have any news on the actual launch of that. But there is a video here, Brian, showing off some bases. What are we looking at here? This is one of Joel's videos.
So this is Joel's base. Mainly, I wanted to show so people could actually see what the game looks like. You know, he does show. You'll see some of the new UI. Yeah, you'll see the new lighting. You'll see some of the new elements that they've added. And you could see some of the new UI. You know, the new row of icons along the bottom.
Yeah.
The lower left. But you know, he's just kind of showing it off. But I thought it was a good opportunity to really see what the game is going to look like, because I mean, the coloring is just so much better than the old one. I mean, even look at those. You remember what those boxes used to look like?
Yes, I do.
They just look better. It looks like actual wood now. You know, so that's just an example of a lot of things that they fixed with lighting. And I think this is going to be a really good alpha for them. Hopefully, I'm hoping they're getting to the point close to being done with alphas and actually release the game. I mean, it's nice seeing new features, but I think this game just needs to be completed, you know, and pushed out. And they need to figure out console, especially because there's still all the problems. Remember what's the one that did the Walking Dead series?
Yeah, Telltale.
That's Telltale. You know, they had the rights to the console version of this, and they still do. And so these guys can't even release. They can't update their console version. So all these people on the console version are running a really old version of this game. And so that's something that they probably before release will want to figure out as well. So they might want to take a couple months and at least either try to buy back the rights or, you know, figure out something. But because there's a lot of people, if you go to any message boards where they talk about releasing these alphas, you know, you always have people saying, you know, update the console version. So yeah. I would be surprised if they went to release and didn't have something figured out with the console version.
So we don't have a launch date yet, but I believe the streamer weekend, something happened last weekend. I don't know if it was the full streamer weekend or if that's coming up soon, but there was somebody streaming something last weekend because I saw some tweets about it.
Yeah, no, they are streaming. There are people streaming it right now, so you can go on there because it is in the streamer weekend.
So hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so, it can be on the experimental branch. I mean, it seems like we're in that, unless there's a game-breaking bug that is caught, then it should be out in the next 2 weeks or so. By the way, I do want to thank our friend Firebomb, who hit us up with the resub here on Twitch, thanking us for the content. We appreciate it. Came in a little while ago, and for some reason we forgot to mention it. So thank you, Firebomb. We greatly appreciate it. All right, Mr. Brian.
All right.
Game giveaway.
All right, so I'm giving away a copy of Jurassic World Evolution. This is currently $45 on Steam. And I'm also going to give away a mod. So there is a DLC for this that is currently, I think, like $11 right now, the Deluxe Dinosaur Pack. So you get the Deluxe Dinosaur Pack and the base game. So that's Jurassic World Evolution. So that's about, what, $50 something, $60 worth of games. So
yeah, good one. And if you are joining us here live on D Live or YouTube or Twitch, you can enter !giveaway in the chat, and you'll get your name thrown into that drawing. So you can do that here for the next hour or so. All right, rolling on here with the survival news, Brian. We are just, I mean, we're on like a trifecta today, all relevant gaming news and a lot of survival news. Dead Matter has got an update out as of late last week. This is their June 19th update, and they're saying that this is going to be the first of many weekly updates as they get closer and closer to their closed alpha. And they don't have an exact date on that yet, but they say, as of today, we are still actively working on removing any remaining roadblocks that are stalling the release of the closed alpha, and we'll start work on making sure that there is a bug tracker that will allow our backers to report bugs and issues with the game. We currently want to make sure that backers can also vote on what bugs are the most important and get those things dealt with. If you remember, H1Z1 actually for a while, SOE had a really good issue tracker with voting and everything.
But the problem is they didn't address them and they let them go on for years.
Yeah.
And then you'd have hundreds of bugs that were no longer relevant because the game had been changed so much.
But the issue tracker was cool. It was very simple. I don't even think you need to have an account. Judd's mentioning that they were using XERA as the service, and it was great. I mean, obviously the fact that they didn't update it sucked, but you went on there and it was like, oh, hey, look there's my issue. It's right there, and it's the top thing. So hey,
it would have been relevant if they would have actually been dealing with the bug so that it didn't linger for years and years, or close down bugs that were over a certain amount of time old until they were verified.
Yeah. Now there's a couple of videos in here. One is about barricades. So they're working on the claiming system. That is how Dead Matter's base building works. A large part of that is barricading and claiming already built structures. So they're working on some of the features of that. And there's a video that shows the processes of putting your paper up on the windows, then boarding it up, then putting a fence system around it. You're essentially building the structure around your base to protect it. And the base is going to, is a log cabin or a building or something that you take advantage of. So that system seems to be pretty straightforward. It's still, obviously you'll still have to go require resources to fortify the base, but you don't have to exactly build it completely yourself.
Do you want to jump in that video really quick to like 50 seconds?
Yeah,
because
sure, absolutely.
That's where they're showing some of the barricading process. You actually can see where they cover up some of the windows here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So you can see that there's the paper under already blocking off the light. Then they show the various.
Me motion sick. I don't like the spinning on that at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's a radial menu. It's kind of weird, the effect. I'm sure they'll get rid of that, because it's making you dizzy just watching it.
It is. I mean, it's literally making me motion
sick. That building
sick
system looks. I like how they rotate. You saw how they could rotate.
Yeah, it looks like he's using the up or down arrow or something. It looks like it's about...
Or like even the mouse scroll, perhaps.
It looks like it's maybe a 15 or 20 degree snap radius, and you kind of snap it to a couple different positions. And then similar to games like... what's the zombie game with the plane where everybody crashes?
Forest? The Forest?
Yes, The Forest. It's got a system in which... you build the ghost of the structure that you want and then add the supplies to it, and it goes ahead and fortifies it as if you so you can plot out your build before building it, which is something I always like. It helps you.
And that's what they're doing here. That's pretty nice.
It helps you it helps you not just plan your setup, but it also allows you to kind of get a grasp of, all right, how many resources do I need to go grab? How much time do I need to spend?
But also for groups,
so
one nice thing about groups is you can lay it out, and then everybody, and that's one thing we were doing on the Forest, is like everybody kind of runs out, starts getting materials, brings them back, and it gets built over time, which works really good for a group environment like what we usually play.
Exactly. So that's cool. So that's one of the systems that they're working on. They've got a couple of other things in here. One of the other things that they're working on is their foraging system, which is how they how they deal with tree branches and whatnot, and picking up leaves and things like that. So they're working on that, and they're working on polishing things like that. They've also added a new gun. They've got a shotgun in here. The 1873 is in here. It's a pump action shotgun, I think. Yeah. And they've got that in there. And then there's a couple of other screenshots in here. One of the cool ones, I don't know how this will show up on stream, Brian, but they've got this nighttime one where there's some glow sticks kind of spread around.
They did a really good job getting the kind of lighting effect from it.
Yeah, they did. If it in fact actually looks like that in game, it's going to be awesome, because this looks super cool.
Well, usually the problem with glow sticks in games usually is because they had them in H1Z1 as well, right? There were glow sticks in there.
Were there?
They did. They had glow sticks, but they were really bright, like way brighter.
Yeah, like a torch.
Yeah, and glow sticks just aren't generally like that. In a very dark situation, like you'll see them like you're seeing in that image, but they seem like they're very much. H1Z1. I'll look it up. H1Z1 glow stick.
Yeah, I didn't particularly remember glow sticks, but I've been wrong.
Well, let me make sure they were something else. I was thinking that it was H1Z1. But it might not have been. I was thinking it was, though. So I'll try to find it. But I could be wrong. It could be another game. But there was a game that we play that had glow sticks that were really bright.
I think it was Miscreated.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh yeah, that was right. That's right. It was Miscreated. So Miscreated, you've seen theirs. It's like you can see it from so far away. It is Miscreated. Because I remember running around a corner saying, "What is that?" Like it was so odd that at first it didn't look like a glow stick at all.
Can't say I'm surprised. So that's Dead Matter. Things are working. We'll have hopefully a couple of weekly updates over the next couple of months here on the program as they get much closer to their closed alpha and get everything wrapped up with that. We still have enough time, but I want to make sure we cover the important stuff here first. Let's talk about Apex for just a second here. I don't want to lament on too much, but they announced this week, Brian, that Apex is coming to the Nintendo Switch, which is pretty cool. Yep. Another free-to-play game coming to the Switch, which is nice. I actually just charged my Switch I found it. I lost it. It was buried somewhere. Found my Switch, gave it a charge up. Brian, I think I'm going to jump into the world of Animal Crossing. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to do that yet, but I'm just seeing a lot of people playing and posting it.
A lot of people saying that's, I keep hearing good things about it.
Yeah, and it's one of those games that I'll buy and never play, and it's just going to be a waste of $60. But, it is what it is. So, I got that all set up. And Fortnite apparently is relatively popular on the Switch. I've played it a couple times just to try it. I don't find it to be all that great because of its complexity. But Apex, on the other hand, which doesn't have a building system, I think will probably run pretty well on the Switch and actually fit the platform. Because
Fortnite's very difficult to pull off on these mobile devices. I know they keep trying to do it, but especially when you have people that are playing on different kinds of controllers or different devices, and then you're having them play with PC players that are using a mouse and possibly macros and doing all kinds of crazy things. Like it's very difficult. You can't pull off the same level of building like a PC player is doing.
Agreed. So my fingers are crossed that stuff gets that it works. It's cool to have free to play games on the Switch, and the crossplay is neat. So looking forward to that. Apex Legends coming to the Switch and Steam actually this fall, which is also interesting.
Yep. So and I have a link in the show notes to the Steam. So if people are interested in adding it to the wish list so they get a notification when it releases, that should be happening fairly soon.
More and more of an indication that EA is trying to probably offboard Origin.
Yep. Yeah.
There is no reason for this game to be on Steam. There's literally no reason for it to be on Steam.
Yeah, especially with a free-to-play game.
Yeah, literally zero reason.
And I bet most of their player base is probably console, anyways.
At
this point,
I would say a probably decent amount.
Yeah, and then they're doing a patch here. So this is called the Lost Treasure patch, and so they're having an event where you can go and get things, this lost treasure, and they're adding a couple features. So one thing they're doing is, I think these are limited time modes, but mobile respawn beacons, crypto tower town takeover, and then they have like trophies and things that you can get in the game, and then there's some updates. So, but if you're interested in that, we'll have the full show notes in the patch in the show notes, so you can go look at all the details and maybe find something that you've been having to deal with that hopefully is fixed.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I've kind of steered the ship here in a large regard. What would you like to talk about next, Brian? We got a lot of stuff to cover. What's tickling your fancy?
Let's go through a couple things here really quickly. PUBG, they are having a lot of people have been doing these concerts and things. So PUBG is doing something that's somewhat of a fundraiser here. And so they're doing something called Gaming to Give Back. And what they're having is one that's trying to partner with No Kid Hungry. And they're having Jeremiah Freites of the Lumineers. I don't know who that is.
The Lumineers is a very popular group.
Okay. And then they're having Deadmau5 also.
Oh, wow.
So, and they're going to be teaming up with two players, Halifax and Hambino, I don't know, for a charity stream. So if you're interested in that, you can watch is going to be on June 24th. So that's tomorrow. And what you do is you go to the Twitch channel, and PUBG will donate $1 for every unique view up to $100,000. So if you can get a bunch of people in there, then it'll have money, and it seems to be going to a cause. So what this is doing is they're also partnering with Razer, and Razer's going to be donating a Razer Blade 15 gaming laptop that will be given out during the stream. And then Grubhub is also providing stream viewers with a $5 off code to order food if you want to do that. And then funds are going to this No Kid Hungry service.
Which I don't know if you ever used the website Charity Navigator, Brian, but it's a website where you can look at charities and it kind of people rate them. And this the No Kid Hungry is part of the Share Our Strength charity, and they've got an 84% overall rating. So they appear to be a pretty good.
One thing I like is they're not going off of something that's divisive in today's news. They're doing a charity that's going to a legitimate charity that everybody can get behind, that's not based on politics.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised because I saw, a charity, a charity event.
Well, okay.
I went to go and read it.
I guarantee you I know why. I have the answer to your question, Brian. Well, I'm Nostradamus.
Not based out of the United States.
Bingo. Yeah, they're based in South Korea, it is completely different.
That's one of the first things when I saw this, I was like, okay, well, why are they doing this? Because this is Korea, and they don't care about all that stuff. Like,
yes,
that doesn't. It's all means something to us because of politics and news and stuff happening here that's been built up in people's minds.
It's a presidential election year. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff.
You've got to get everybody worked up about something. They're just like, let's give it hungry kids. Who doesn't like helping hungry kids? Yeah, let's do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and this charity seems
good on them. I'm proud of them for actually keeping out of the United States politics.
Yeah, great. Not turning into some crazy mob stuff. So yeah, good on them. Yep. Charity group going on. Check it out.
Yep. And then the last Oasis, they put out an update, and so there's actually a video here that's a dev blog. So I don't know if you want to play that. It's almost 5 minutes, but it's developers talking.
All right, let's take a look at it. We've got a new Last Oasis devlog. We'll watch it, and we'll be back right after this.
Hello everyone, here's Lucas from Donkey Crew. I hope all of you are safe and sound during this very difficult time that we're all facing.
Okay.
So first of all, I wanted to say that communication with our communities are very important and dear to us. It's a priority. And for that, I wanted to apologize for the last few weeks. I know that we weren't as vocal as we were during our launch. Our sincere apologies about that. So why were we so quiet? Well, to sum it up, the team was very tired after all the circumstances around our early access launch. We had a bunch of technical failures that we needed to firefight. And well, it was both overwhelming in a positive and in a negative way, both good and bad. So I can give an example. It was awesome seeing you play, seeing your comments or the positive reviews, and well, seeing you have fun in our creation, putting a lot of hours into that. But it was also hard to read the negative comments towards developers and well, to work under pressure, trying to make this unfinished project hold it together and actually meet your expectations. We were working hard on it. At some point, we needed some time to just recollect, regroup, and kick off again. Also, in the meantime, we were going through some much needed internal overhauls on how we develop after this, what you could say, a crisis management mode after the technical issues at launch. Long story short, you could say that transitioning from an unreleased title to a live operations development based game is a challenge that we expected to handle better. Developing a game that is alive and breathing with all of its problems arising is a hard enough challenge, but we thought we were ready for it. But with the addition of all of our infrastructure problems in the launch, well, that pretty much blew a lot of our planning away. We are a small team here at Donkey Crew, so we needed everyone in the team fixing like the immediate breaking issues that you were reporting to us and that our QA testers were finding. And that made our transitioning to the live operations phase very hard and clunky. It was a real trial by fire, you could say. So with all that said, we're not going to keep that quiet anymore. We did our homework. We now feel fresh and able to share with you more devlogs talking about both the current state and the future of the game, what we've been working on and what we're going to work on in the future, what can you expect, and we want to launch this at least once a month. We're also planning and preparing to have more Q&As, both live and pre-selected questions that you send us in our community channels. So we're going to be doing more of that more often. We're excited to say that we're launching a new patch next week. This patch is going to bring a whole new map, a new walker, new weapons, new resources, and even a new creature and some other stuff. This patch is going live to public next week, so we're going to give you more information about that in the coming days, but we are opening our public test realm so you can test a little bit with what we're actually going to push. We are also working hard into providing you the Last Oasis roadmap. So keep an eye to our community channels because we're going to talk more about that soon. I invite all of you to check our Steam post that is linked in the description down below. There's more information about what I've been talking here and also some teasers about stuff that we are working on to bring in the future. So to wrap this thing up, I wanted to say from the bottom of my heart that watching you guys play, reading all of your posts have been just fantastic to us. Like seeing how many hours you have been putting in this game is just amazing for the team. We are very humbled and excited about the privilege that is to develop this game, Last Oasis, alongside you, our community, our players. Last Oasis has community-driven development at its heart. We are not going to refrain from listening to your requests, your ideas, your complaints, and of course, your criticism, both the positive and the negative. We really want to develop this game alongside you. So I invite you to join us in this journey into making Last Oasis great. Thank you all for watching this, for your time and appreciation, and see you next time.
All right, so quick little update there from the folks at Last Oasis. Got a little overwhelmed with some of the stuff at launch, but everything seems to be on the up and up now, so hopefully they'll get back to regular...
yeah, putting in new additional features. Because as I said before, me playing it, I thought it was very well done. You know, I think it has a lot of promise. I didn't see anything that was major game breaking. The features seemed to work. There were some new mechanics that I haven't seen in other games that seem like they'll work. Just like when we played Ark the first time, you know, there were things in there I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never played a game that does this. And I think there's some similar things in this game that hopefully, you know, these guys will be able to keep moving forward and produce a title that becomes, you know, kind of a cornerstone like Ark is.
Agreed. Looking forward to it.
I think it is the game that could be. So
excellent. Well, we'll continue to keep an eye on their development and hopefully a roadmap coming out in the next couple months or so, and that'll give us a good idea of what we've got coming down the pipeline.
So I just wanted to mention something. This does
Sure.
kind of follow along with some of the other things that we've been doing. But Fortnite, people are wondering where the cop cars went in Fortnite, and Epic has removed all the cop cars from Fortnite.
Okay.
I did want to mention one thing that hopefully will make people think of this in a little different way. There's one other place, I don't know if you remember, where they actually removed cop cars from a game that we used to play quite a bit.
I believe that would be China.
H1Z1. Yes, for China, they had to release the cop cars because they did not like cops in China represented and police officers and things in games. So just a little example. You've got here, I mean, the other example where this happens is in communism. Same thing where, you know, I was talking about The Last of Us, and they were actually pushing communism in that game. They're pushing that the good guys are the communists. People maybe will open their eyes a little bit and look at some things that happen and hopefully correlate with history.
Well, but without that, Brian, it is interesting though that the only other examples that we can find of this are in countries where they've got a
communism, extreme regulation.
It's got extreme regulation. I mean, communism, absolutely. But you talk about China, you talk about the great Chinese firewall, where they have banned VPNs, they ban games, they ban websites, and it is a little concerning when you see companies in the U.S. kind of doing something that very
Places
similar.
That erase their history are doomed to repeat it is a quote, And so, we see a lot of people trying to erase history. One place where they try to erase history and make it seem like, because they don't want people remembering times before, is in places like communist China.
Yeah, you can see it with Tiananmen Square every year. I mean, like they
it concerns me that we see this happening. And it's frustrating when you see it happening in front of your eyes in a place where you're supposed to have free speech and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I just figured I'd mention it. You may notice that there are no police cars anymore.
Well, fortunately, on the side of Epic, they've got the right to do what they want as a company. That's that's their
decision. Thing. But I was correlating it to, we've seen this before.
Yeah, we have.
Maybe we should be a little concerned of where we've seen this before.
Yeah, exactly. Completely agree. So there you go. Interesting.
Also, we got here Elite Dangerous.
Okay.
They put out a fairly decent sized patch because they did that the fleet carriers patch that put in the new large ships. Well, they did put out a patch now that fixes some of the issues with those, specifically with the carriers, some things that they were running into that, but also some issues with missions and journals and things like that. So there should be a new patch out. This is their patch 1 for the fleet carrier update. So this should be fixing some of those major issues that came up just because of that big patch that they put out.
Gotcha.
Nothing else major about that, but just figured I would mention it if you're playing Elite Dangerous. Atlas put out a post this week, pretty much because remember they'd said, "Oh, we're going to start working on Atlas again. We'll introduce you to the team." Well, they put out the team notice, the thing talking about some of the different people that are going to be helping with this.
Okay.
So if you're interested in that, they're also going to be talking about the some changes to the map and things like that they will be doing. Yep. So the Golden Age, people probably don't remember it so much, but they had different sections of the map. They said the Golden Age's islands are moving to the center of the map, surrounding it with a high density ring of lawless territory, and adding sparse islands outskirts where players can claim island territories to have a lower risk experience. And this is going to reduce the amount of sailing between core islands, which incite more conflict and give more opportunity for companies to capture and control water lanes for the upcoming trade route system that they're going to be putting in. But yeah, but they hint at the new trade route system, but they said we're getting ahead of ourselves with the new system. They'll talk about that later. So it sounds like they're going to be making some pretty major changes, which hopefully makes it a much more playable game. I think that they almost need to make it a little less hardcore. I know that's kind of hard to imagine, but I think they went a little too hardcore and people were just like, all right, I'm out. Especially when you're dealing with, I mean, you remember China. I mean, if China would come in and just dominate servers and would flood multiple islands and it was ridiculous.
And I think the same thing in ARC.
Yeah, but here it was all one big map. You couldn't get away with it. You couldn't get away from it.
You go play PvE. That's how you get away from it.
Yeah, and we found that you could still clear everybody's possessions out in PvE as well. So, oh well. So that's that is Atlas, and we'll see. Coming into this, hopefully they'll produce something that kind of saves that whole franchise. Or that whole title.
Yeah, I would.
It can't be any worse. I mean,
can't
get any worse than it is right now. Other than nobody's playing because there's minimal numbers playing right now.
Yeah, it's not in great shape.
Yep. So hopefully it turns around. Ring of Elysium. They put out 2 patches this past week. So their June 18th patch. One thing that they've done in this. They have done maintenance that happened on June 18th, so a couple days ago, and they put in their Season 9 reboot. So Adventure Season 9, you can get the Season Pass, and then they have a number of skins and things they've added to that. And first of all, they have the Adventure Passes in 2 parts. They have the Adventure Free Pass, how most of them do it, to where you get certain rewards. But then if you pay, so it's $10, you can get pretty much for every level some sort of a reward. Then they're doing another limited time mode here, a 4v4 death match called Heavy Caliber. So they increased the experience bonus from these from 200 to 400%. And they've extended the hours that it's available by 1 hour per day. So I'm not sure exactly how often it's available, but it's a certain times on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday that you can actually do that mode. They've been reworking the weapon recoil, trying to balance the weapons, but most of these kind of games are doing that on a regular basis. They're putting in a new bullet penetration system, and then they'll have some exclusive rewards for some of the people that have some of the adventure passes. And then Lucky Draw Season 9, they're doing Lucky Draw, but that started on June 18th, but it's going to go through July 15th. And it's an event that you can go play. There's some specific rewards for that. And then you can go check it out, and they'll show you some of the free rewards that you can get from the Season 9 pass. So, and then on the 19th, so the June 19th patch, this one was just a small little fix. They slightly lowered the screen shake visual effect when firing weapons, probably because, like we saw with that one video, people get dizzy when you do weird things on the screen. So
Yeah.
it looks like they probably were doing that a little bit too much. They cut that down a little bit. So that's it for ROE.
Awesome. I want to thank our friend Head Neophyte for hitting us up with the 11-month resub. Y'all the best. Keep on keeping on. We will do so. Thank you very much, Head Neophyte. We greatly appreciate your support and always being here in the chat and telling us when we're wrong and telling us when we're on base about something. So thank you very much, sir. We greatly appreciate it.
Believe it or not, I do appreciate when people point out when we're wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it saves us from having to go. Because then we get a comment on one of the videos like, "Oh, you're totally wrong on this," and then it's forever. Like we can't,
like
if you
literally
tell us like in the
6
moment
days.
that we're wrong, but like, all right, I'm wrong. Okay, we don't have to hear about it for the next week about how I was wrong. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, I'm never wrong, Brian. That's my solution.
Yeah, you're never wrong, so you don't have to worry about apologizing.
Agree.
But,
Yeah. Just double down.
Sometimes I miss the mark. One of the greatest movies of all time.
I don't know
So
what that is.
here we have
Oh,
Neil
wait.
Breen, of course.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Guess what I watched this weekend for the first time?
Star Wars?
No, The Matrix.
Harry Potter? Oh, okay. Well, that's a
Matrix.
good one too.
Matrix.
Did
1.
you like it?
I did. It was funny to
You
see
should
all
watch
of
some of the other ones.
I'm going to. I've got them all available.
I know.
But it's funny to see all of the memes that I didn't know were from that movie.
Yeah.
Like the guy
Yeah,
with
because that was like a.
Yeah, well,
and then especially when you hear about Red Pill and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew about the Red
from-
Pill stuff, but like, who's the main character guy? His name starts with a G.
Neo or
no, the other guy, the guy that brings him into the whole thing. Yeah, I don't remember. It starts with a G. Nevertheless, he yeah, like there's the meme of that guy. He's got his sunglasses on, like the tiny little sunglasses, and you see that Morpheus. There it is.
Morpheus.
Yeah, there's the picture of the Morpheus with the sunglasses, and it's like I've seen that 1,000 times. I just never knew what it was, and now it's like, oh, it's from that movie. So yeah, it's G Morpheus. His name is silent.
Morpheus. Yes.
Yeah, Morpheus. Yeah, but the silent G. So, yeah, it was close enough. So
yeah, close enough. But those are very good. I still think okay. So my goal for you in the next year is finish watching all the Matrix.
Yeah, you don't have
need
to
to
tell
watch
me that.
at least the first Harry Potter.
Nope. Won't happen.
And we need to get you watching one of the Star Wars, and we
I
have
won't
to take
watch
a vote
Harry
on which
Potter.
one would actually hold you.
I won't watch Harry Potter. I won't watch Star Wars. I won't watch Lord of the Rings. All three of those are off the table.
Oh my goodness. Some of the best movies of all time, and you've refused to watch them.
Yeah, you know what's going to change that, Brian? When a girl wants to watch them, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been waiting to watch this.
Oh yeah, I love that movie. Let's watch it. I love that. Oh, what's your favorite part? The part where he.
Yeah, I'll become an expert overnight. You'll see that I'll watch a couple of YouTube videos where guys explain the entire thing, and I'll be an expert.
I think Nisco has found the secret here. If we can get you drunk, and then you'll
watch. If you get
it.
me drunk, I'm not gonna remember it. That's stupid.
Well, it's not whether or not you remember it. We just get you to actually watch it.
Yeah, but I mean that's stupid. Well, so I don't know how we got talking about Matrix. Oh, because you made a Neil Breen reference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched that this past week. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew.
Yeah, very good. All right, so let's talk about quickly the Conan Exiles patch.
Okay.
And one thing, I do have a hard out here, so if people wondering why we're keeping on track and not getting, because we could easily get sidetracked for another hour, because we have a hard out here, so we're just trying to keep to that. But Conan Exiles, they did their 18.06.2020 patch. One thing they did do is a number of performance and stability patches. They've also have done some bug fixes in this. So they do apologize in here. First of all, with this hot fix, they've also ironed out some remaining issues with the server browser, such as server with a three question marks for a ping time. And they'll show that temporarily when getting the ping, but it should cause them to either list or show that there was an error. And also they said they've apologized for the frustrations that these have caused. And there's some people that help them get those tracked down. They're able to get it fixed. So also some issues with Windows 7. Hopefully people aren't running Windows 7 anymore, but maybe they are. Actually, it wasn't a bad operating system. And so in here, if you have been having any issues and you're running Windows 7, this should correct those issues. So
bigger issue is
Conan Exiles.
The bigger issue is download the Windows 10 media creation tool and get your computer running Windows 10.
Upgrade to Windows 10, yeah.
Yeah, it's literally free. Stop being an idiot.
Yeah, I don't know why you can pay for Windows 10, but if you have an install of Windows, you can pretty much just upgrade it for free.
You literally just download the thing and it just updates it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So XERA, they put out an update this week, and so their June 2020 update. One thing here's, I'm just going to go through some of the different things they've done. Repair benches will be located in every safe zone. That will allow players to repair items before and after going out into the world. In order to repair item, you need to gather various materials that are used to, for that item type. And you can gather those by breaking down other items. So if you have certain tools or various things that you picked up, you can break those down to various core materials that can be repairing. The amount of materials and currency required to repair will depend on how much damage the item has. So if it's like a 90% durability item, then shouldn't take up very many items. But let's say if it's 50%, you're going to have a lot. It's going to have a lot more cost. And requirements for repairing the item will scale based on the tier system. So, for instance, repairing an MP5 at 50% durability would require far less cash and materials than, let's say, a 70% durability. Should also bring balance to those lower tier items that degrade faster, and allow players to make a choice of whether they want to break down for the lower tier item or to actually repair it. And that way they can recycle extra high tier items and build a stash up of various things to repair some of the other items. So, and they've also, I think they brought on another employee. So they have some information about that if you're interested in learning more about them. And then they do some sneak peeks for upcoming POIs. And some things with the UI that they've been adjusting. So there's some new areas and then some rework to the actual UI.
Oh boy, this picture right here gives me a little H1Z1 PTSD.
Flashback.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The trailers and the modular home
and those trees. I mean, those trees kind of give me a little bit of that feel too.
Kind of feel uncomfortable. That's cool.
So
this looks good.
They got some of the, and then below that, there's some. Do you want to show the UI really quick?
Yeah, the new inventory looks much polished.
Yep.
Much more polished.
And then they also they have, and I like how that the bottom left, shows what items are around you on the ground. They have a global stash and then the marketplace. And they're saying they're pushing towards 6.5, which is going to be their big update patch coming up.
Okay, cool.
So they'll have 2 new game mechanics in 6.5 and then a bunch of other things that they're working on. So some of these things that you've seen will be in that 6.5 patch.
Okay, very cool.
But that is XERA.
That's XERA. Let's quickly talk about Arc here for a minute. Couple of quick updates, only 3. Fixed multiple startup crashes affecting some Epic Game Store clients. So that was 311.101. A little bit of a larger one here, 311.209. The Crystal Wyverns can now be transferred between maps. The Epic Game Store client can now use the favorite server feature. That's in there. The Genesis Geyser no longer restores the food stat. Fixed a bug where using the rocket launcher could propel you backwards, so you would shoot backwards.
Nice, perfect.
Shooting the rocket, like a Walt Disney cartoon or something, or Tom and Jerry. Scout can no longer, Scout can no longer push tame dinos. The Scout can no longer push tame dinos. I don't know what that means. What is the Scout a vehicle? Or is that a person? I don't know what a Scout is.
I think it's a
is it a dinosaur?
A dinosaur of some sort. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know what's up.
So it always had the ability to push things, and I think people are probably pushing things over cliffs. And...
Gotcha. Okay, so that's dealt with. The Crystal Wyvern can now be a cryopod.
Actually, wait, I think the Scout is a.
Is that the little thing that follows you? The orb?
Yeah, it's like a drone.
Oh, okay.
So, but I think it's a big drone. I think it's a big drone, if I remember correctly.
I have no idea.
It's a flying drone that was added in Extinction, but I don't think it's not the little one that goes around with you. It's not that. Gotcha. It's just another one that's in the world.
So the Crystal Wyverns can now be, I like this word, Brian, cryopoded. So I like the use of that. Fixed multiple mesh holes, collision issues, foliage, floating incorrect volumes, things like that. Fix the tropical wyvern from.
I do want to point out these are some things that I was getting complaints about on our ARC servers because of the patch
and holes and whatnot.
No. The being able to transfer like the wyverns to other maps and things like it, and being cryopodding them. So that was something that we were looking at. Well, how do we fix this? And I just figured I'd wait a little bit, and they fixed it in the patches, which is nice.
And then the final thing on this update 3.11.209, there was a bug where some of the wyverns could not be tamed properly. And then wrapping it up here, 3.11.302 fixed an exploit and then limited the public teleport settings specifically for official PvP. So made some rule set adjustments there. And that brings us up to date on Ark Survival Evolved.
Very good.
Let's
yeah, do you have a preference? We've got three more things.
I do. I'd like to talk about Miscreated, if I can spell it correctly. They, Brian, are working on something that is cool, but I'm not necessarily sure how it plays into the game. They're working on safe zones, and I'm a little perplexed as to, like, they're kind of what's a dead. They're kind of doing like a dead side thing, but there's a little video here. Let's watch this video and hear what's coming up here with safe zones, trading, and some other things in Miscreated. Oh, is there no talking in this?
No, there is. It just takes them a bit to get to it.
Hello everyone,
this
is Matt from Entrada Interactive, and today we are presenting to you the Trader and Safe Zone system. This system will allow players to buy items using the AM coin currency already present in the game.
Oh great.
Once you made your way to the outpost, simply interact with an NPC to open its inventory. From there, you can move your mouse over an item in the left window to see its price.
They need to hire an animator so they
you can also see the amount of AM coins your character have on the top right side of the trader inventory. To buy an item, simply right-click it and click the Buy from Vendor option, or drag and drop the item on your character. Items that can be sold to the trader will be highlighted in white, and hovering over them will show you how much coin you will get from selling them. To sell an item, simply right-click it and select Sell to Vendor, or drag and drop it to the trader's inventory. Some item you find will be worth more coins than other. The rarest item usually go for a higher price. There is currently 4 different traders in the outpost, each having a different inventory. Some are more static and will always sell the same item, while others may have some randomness to their loot pool. Those will be affected by server restart, as the system will pick a different loadout to assign to the traders from an array of predefined inventory. Scared to leave the outpost with all the gear you just bought because someone may be sitting in a bush outside aiming at the door? The banking area will have kiosks ready for you to store your gears, but if you're short on coins, you can simply ask for the outpost taxi driver to give you a ride back home. The outpost being considered a safe zone means that damage is disabled inside of it. Along with the banking area, players will have access to planters for growing crops, barbecue and campfire to cook, and workbench to craft items.
What?
The cooking system was also reworked for this next update. Player will now be able to buy 3 new cookbooks to learn new recipes. These books will be sold at the outpost by one of the trader. The feature is designed to tie together all food-related systems we have in the game, such as hunting, growing crops, cooking, and crafting. Once you have all of the ingredients in your inventory, go to your crafting menu to find the recipes. Once you crafted it, you can simply place the item on the campfire to cook it. Some of the new recipes will give you as much food as 3 stacks of cooked meat and can be partially consumed. To finish off, this next update also brings balance to the loot spawn for a couple of item types. Food will be a little more rare, to push player to live off the land and use the new cooking system. High-powered weapon and ammo will spawn less often, as well as medicines like anti-radiation pills and mushrooms. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in the game once the update launch.
All right, Brian. So some interesting things here with that. First of all, odd that one of the reasons to build a base was for growing crops, for cooking, for workbenches. They've added that all to this safe zone, which is very much a XERA mechanic. Not that XERA is the first one to do it, but kind of first thing that pops into my head is XERA.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Is this what Miscreated needed for a turnaround, or is this what?
Well, I think they've realized that base building is not viable, partially because the people have find ways to get into the bases, hack into the bases, do all kinds of things. Also, the storage system, which they've been fighting since the beginning of storing items. I think that they don't want people building bases all over the world. This game, I think, would be a much better game with cool, wonderful base building, but it's not. I think they're accepting that, and I think this is an alternative to base building to let people run around because it matches more the play style. Because people aren't sitting there and building like on Ark, creating mega bases and staying around those mega bases. This game isn't really made to do that. So I think this is kind of the compromise of has features of a base, but without actually having a base or a place that you call your own. It gives you the crafting, and they've already tackled storage in a different way. I think this is a way of adapting a little bit, which I've been pushing them for not doing, but adapting a little bit to the way players are currently playing. Now, whether or not they accept that the reason the players are playing like that is because there's no good base building system and there's not a good storage system, I think they're not looking at that fact. But I think they are looking at, okay, well, based on our limitations that we placed on the players, here's probably the better way to handle all this stuff. Whether it's going to save the game, I don't know, but I think it's more of a luxury. It makes it a little bit easier because most of the people that play this game are some very small groups or single people, individuals.
Yeah, Donnie,
and so they can't do it the same way.
Our friend Donnie says, "I would rather stash my stuff somewhere safe and Miscreated. I never wanted to build a base anyway."
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Because it's just, what's the point of building a base? They have a really cool base building system, but they made it so difficult to get the parts, to get storage, the materials.
Impossible.
It doesn't work well. And so I think now that this is them kind of handling it to where, because they have a lot of solo players, this is how you deal with it. A safe area where they can kind of deal with some business and not have to build a base just to have a crafting bench or something like that.
Yeah, well, it works out great for Dead Side. Obviously that's a new game and it's still pretty sketchy, but it works. So.
And they're working on additional modding things. So that's the other thing that could really save this game, is if they get enough modding support where people start to build private servers that do really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Because the map is beautiful. The mechanics are okay, right? But if you could create enough mods to kind of fix some of the things that they're not fixing, especially with like they're putting in things in for in modding for the clan system, things like that, to where you could kind of add some of the features that they've never bothered to add.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a couple other things, Brian, but I know we're running short on time, so I think both of those things we can bring up on the program next week. But I'm surprised we got as far as we did, which is cool. So. You got anything else before we jump into current players?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right. let's take a look at some video game players. Started off with DayZ, currently playing 10,875. The 24-hour peak, 19,426, with a 7-day peak of 21,934. Moving on over to Ark Survival Evolved, currently playing 52,060. The 24-hour peak, 77,645, with a 7-day peak, wow, 93,178. Bananas numbers there on Ark. Let's take a look at Rust real quick. Similar numbers on the current players, 42,042. The 24-hour peak, 60,904, with a 7-day peak of 69,914. Let's take a look at 7 Days to Die. 10,475 people playing as of this moment. The 24-hour peak, 12,712, with a 7-day peak of 16,847. Let's take a look at Atlas, currently playing 1,207, the 24-hour peak 1,628, with a 7-day peak of 1,923. And wrapping us up here, Miscreated, currently playing 395, the 24-hour peak 568, with a 7-day peak 890. And that brings us current, Brian, with current players, all the numbers of people that are playing all the video games. So
one thing I wanted to point out in looking at the 3 of the titles that you listed in there, the 3 things with the highest number of players, what is the core functionality? Like, what is one of the core elements of all
modding.
3 of those games?
Rust.
No. But modding is high on it, but base building.
Yes.
Ark, base building is one of the core things in it that really brings groups together.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Ark, Rust,
look at
in
Rust.
7 days. Yeah.
7 Days to Die, base building.
Yeah, the
This
only
created
outlier
what's the
there,
big thing they missed.
Base building. Now, the only thing that I will say outside of that is DayZ, but with the DayZ mods, which most people play, Epoch and some other things, it's got base building. So, yeah. I agree.
But
you gotta have
you know what I'm saying? Like, something about it.
There's got to be, Brian, there's got to be something to log into. There's got to be something to keep an eye on.
The safe area, pretty much what they're trying to do with the safe area, a place where you can just go in, take some time, gather with your people, not being ambushed and killed and creating disarray, a place to start. And I think that's what they really missed up until this point. Hopefully this new kind of safe zone fixes that for them.
Agree completely.
All right. You ready for tip of the week?
Yes, sir.
All right. Usually I'll give a game a specific tip, or sometimes I'll do one on a general, but this is going to be about 7 Days to Die. So this is tip of the week. All right. Well, I'm excited to play this most recent alpha of 7 Days to Die, and I figured I'd give a few things that maybe are helpful tips that hoping is new to you. There's a couple different things I've seen that aren't really common knowledge, and they don't seem to be exactly like other games. So hopefully it's something you've not heard of as well. There's some input keys that, for instance, you always know that you can press C to crouch. But they also have a toggle option in 7 Days to Die, and that's if you hit the control key. So if you hit control, that toggles crouching, and that way you don't have to sit there and hold it down. Another thing you can do is press the G key. Now the G key, what that does is it drops the currently selected item in your tool belt. So you got to be careful of this because you may bump the G key and all of a sudden something is missing. I've done that before. But you can also, if you have a stack selected, so you're in your inventory, you press the G key, it will drop one item from that stack. So if you're needing to maybe give somebody something and you have a stack of an item, just hit the G key, it'll drop one, and then they'll have one that they can pick up. And then finally, there is the I key, and this is so that you can see other players that are currently on the map as well. It also shows some statistics that can be helpful. So if you're if you pull that up, there's a scoreboard that will show the zombie kills, player kills, deaths, score, and the ping of each player on the server. So hopefully that helps you out. Some things you can try, some little bit different things, not the normal input keys that you would see on other games that are similar. But that is tip of the week.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian. We greatly appreciate it.
All right. We ready to
yeah,
draw for this raffle? All right, we'll read that one. Firebomb 80. Congratulations.
Hey.
So Firebomb, you have won, and I'll send you a message in Discord with your keys so you can redeem those. So congratulations.
All right.
And if there's a game that you ever win and you're like, oh, that was an awesome game, make sure you let us know, because a lot of times I give away games that I don't redeem myself. So I don't have copies of the game. It'd be nice to know if they were any good. So if someone asks me about them, I could tell them later.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, do we have a game of the week here? I'm not thinking for this week, because I think I'm kind of waiting for 7 days.
Yeah, let's it's 7 days, not quite yet, unless they release it, but let's wait and see. If they release 7 days before the weekend, I'll spin up a server and we'll play.
Okay, cool.
But if not, then we'll just play something else.
Okay, sounds good.
Or I may be sitting there and having to play The Last of Us. We'll see.
Yes, that would be bad. All right, Brian. Well, thank you as always. Where can people find you on the net?
Yeah, if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, or you can check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Also, make sure you go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. If you do that, on the right-hand side, you'll see a button that says join our server on Discord. And you can do that to submit news throughout the week, to participate in the game of the weeks, or if you just want to play a game with other people, that's a nice, easy service to be able to do that. If you join the Steam group, you'll get a notification right before the show starts, or if sometimes they go weird and you'll get it during the show, but at least let you know that we are live. We also have a link below that to our YouTube channel. We have our Twitch and BitChute, and what was the other one? DLive?
DLive.
Also, DLive, yes. And also we have our Infection Podcast Extras. So if you're wanting to see our pre and post show, we have video channel. Thank you to Judd for doing that. And below that, we have all the different audio-only forms. So after the fact, if you want to listen to the podcast version, we have links for whatever device you might want to be using for that. Also, we have show notes now for 284 episodes of the show. So make sure you click that if you want to follow up with maybe specifics on one of the patches or a video, you want to watch it. We have all of those presented. And of course, you can support us if you heard through the show, Twitch Prime subs, which are awesome for us. Also, humble.infectionpodcast.com and amazon.infectionpodcast.com.
Yes, sir. Alrighty, Brian. Thank you very much. As always, my man, I appreciate it. And
thank you.
We'll see you next Tuesday for another show.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, folks. Well, my name is Nick, of course. If you want to check out some IT-ness, I'll get a couple more blogs up on our website. It's dudeinit.com. But if you happen to miss any portion of the program, pictures, links, show notes, videos, all that fun stuff is on our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. As always, my name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Stay safe. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.